Magandang araw sa ating lahat. Our lesson for today is all about the square root. So, yung ating square root ay lesson, if I'm not mistaken, lesson 6 ng ating week 6 para sa ating first quarter ng grade 7 mathematics. So, nakaka-6 na linggo na tayo ng ating modular distance learning. So, I hope kapag nakakapanood nito ay natututo naman. Okay, so ang ating lesson objectives for today is all about ito. Una is to describe the different principal roots and then tell whether they are irrational or rational. So, last discussion, inalam natin ano ba ang pinagkaiba ng rational at irrational. And then, number 2, determine between what two integers the square root of a number is. And then, last objectives is to plot irrational numbers on the number line. So, ang ipa-plot natin sa number line is yung mga irrational kasi madali naman mag-plot ng mga rational numbers on the number line. Okay, so for today, recall that a rational number is expressed as a fraction of decimal. So, di ba yung ating rational number, pwede daw siyang ilagay sa in terms of A over B o yung parang quotient of A and B. So, lahat ng terminating or non-terminating repeating decimal ay masasabi natin as rational or rational number. Then, ano ba yung tinatawag nating square root? So, square root of a number is a number when multiplied to itself will gives you the original number. Like for example dito sa aking example dito sa una, square root of 9. Ano ba ang square root of 9? Ano daw yung dalawang number na kapag pinag-multiply mo sa sarili niya, the answer will be the original number. Diba yung ating given is square root of 9. So ang kanyang square root ay positive 3 and negative 3 kasi 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Kapag parehas positive, equals to 9 yan. Then, kapag parehas negative, negative 3 times negative 3, that is also equal to positive 9. So, therefore, lahat pala ng positive integers ay meron dalawang square root. Isang positive at isang negative. So, kita nyo yung nakalagay na or, tapos plus, yung guhit sa ilalim, tapos 3. So, ganun tayo magsusulat ng positive or negative 3 para isang sulatan na lang. Since parehas naman 3, ang pinagkaiba lang ay yung symbol. So, yun ang square root. Tandaan. So, any number multiplied to itself that gives you the original or the given number. If the square root of a number is non-terminating, or ibig sabihin hindi tumitigil, dire-diretso, non-repeating decimal, di ba inalam natin ang difference between different types of decimal. We say that it is an irrational number. So, dapat tatandaan nyo yung mga diniscuss natin last time para kasi yan ay magkakadugtong or yan ay para bang spiral. Yung natutunan mo nung una, i-apply mo dun sa padulo. So, every positive number has two roots or two square roots. One is positive and the other is negative, katulad ng example ko kanina. Kapag positive yung nasa loob ng ating square root, ang kanyang square root ay dalawa, isang positive at isang negative. Then, kapag 0 naman yung nakalagay, halimbawa, square root of 0, the 0 has only one square root. So, ano kaya ang square root ng 0? So, the square root of 0 is always 0. Isa lang yung kanyang square root. Hindi positive, hindi negative, kundi 0. How about naman ang ating negative numbers? Kapag halimbawa, negative yung nasa loob ng square root. So, negative numbers do not have real square roots. So, ang tawag sa square root nila ay imaginary numbers. So, yun ay i-discuss on complex number on higher branch of mathematics, yung square root of negative numbers. So, dun muna tayo ngayon sa square root of positive numbers. Okay? So, alamin muna natin yung different parts of a radical before we discuss further. So, halimbawa, may given ako square root of 81. Yung 81 dyan, yan yung tinatawag natin na radicand. Okay, radicand. Then, yung symbol, yung parang check, tapos may bar sa ibabaw, yung may horizontal bar. Okay, so that is what we call the radical symbol. Okay, and then, doon sa parang may check, dito, yan yung tinatawag nating index. Kapag hindi nakasulat yung index, yan ay automatically na 2 or square root. Kapag walang nakasulat, yan ay square root. Pero kapag may nakasulat dito 3. Okay? So, yun ay cube root. Okay? Kapag 4, edi fourth root. So, ang index is kung ano yung nakasulat dito. Pag walang nakasulat, automatically, square root. At ang katumbas ng square root, index ay 2. Okay, so the index, the radical symbol, and the radicand. So they are the parts of a radicand. Yan. So I have here a square. So ngayon, palinawin natin ano ba yung application ng square root within the real life situation. So halimbawa, meron akong square dito. All you have to do is to count, di ba? Kaysa bilangin mo isa-isa, bibilangin mo lang yan kung ilan yung nasa sides, yung 2 sides, kasi nga yan ay square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I have here 5, and then sa kabilang side, meron din akong 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Kapag square, laging tatandaan na both sides are equal. Ibig sabihin, kapag 5 dun sa kabila, 5 din sa kabila. Ibig sabihin, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng square kapag hindi parehas yung sides. Ganon din sa square root. Kapag hindi magkaparehas yung inyong multiply, ibig sabihin, hindi iyan perfect square. So, 5 times 5 is equal to 25. Kahit bilangin mo yan 1 by 1 yung mga square. So, that is equal to 25. Okay? Ganun lamang ang pinakamadaling paraan para malaman. Okay. Square root. Kasi kapag, di ba, square, side times, ang pagkuha ng area ng square ay side times side, or s squared. Ay ganun din sa square root. Kaya siya tinawag na square root. Yan. I have a square root chart. Ang nilagay ko lang dito is yung up to 15. Okay, so square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, kasi 3 times 3 is 9. Square root of 16 is positive, negative 4 dapat yan. Kasi pwede rin ang negative 4 times negative 4, okay? And so on and so forth. So, tatandaan nyo lang itong chart na ito. Kasi that will be useful sa pag-discuss ng ating topic for today. So, the principal square root is the positive square root of the given number or simply the radicand. So, ano po yung tinatawag nating principal square root? So, bukod pa siya sa square roots, okay? Meron pa tayong tinatawag na principal root. Okay, so example, I have here a given square root of 49, yung number 1. Square root niya, anong square root na square root of 49? So, ang kanyang square roots is positive, negative 7. Then, ang principal root, laging tatandaan, is the positive square root. So, laging ang kukunin natin sa principal root is yung positive. So, therefore, the answer is positive 7. Do I have to write plus dun sa unahan? O, hindi na, kasi yan ay understood na as positive. And since perfect square or 7 times 7 is equal to 49, di ba? Perfect square siya. O kaya, or simply na dito siya sa ating chart, ito. Yan. Basta na dyan at perfect square, ibig sabihin, yan ay rational. Okay, rational numbers. How about yung number 2? Square root of 17. So, do we have exact square root of 17? So, since wala tayong exact square root of 17, the square root is positive, negative, square root of 17. Just copy it. Then, lagyan ng positive, negative dun sa unahan. And then, principal root, syempre, ang kukunin natin is yung positive square root or the positive square root of 17. So, since hindi siya perfect square, 17 is not a perfect square, this is irrational. Okay, irrational to. Irrational. Next. Oops. I have your square root of 81. So, the square root is positive, negative 9. The principal root, we are going to use the positive 1, which is 9. Since perfect square sa 81, o yung ating radicand na 81, so that is rational. Then number 2, square root of 121. So, ano yung dalawang number na kapag pinag-multiply mo, the answer is 121. So, the answer is positive, negative 11. So, laging tatandaan, dalawa ang ating square root kapag positive yung nasa loob ng square root, ha? And then, or the radical symbol. Next, principal root is positive 11. Then, since it is also a perfect square, that is rational or rational. Then, number 3, square root of 29. So, we do not have exact square root for positive 29. Therefore, the square root is positive, negative, square root of 29. Then, the principal root, positive, square root of 29. Then, since this is not a perfect square, irrational. Next, number 4, square root of 67. Again, wala po tayong square root or exact whole number na square root ang 67. So, the square root is positive, negative, square root of 67. Then, the principal root, positive square root of 67, irrational again, since they are not a perfect square. So, ganyan lamang kapag magde-determine whether the principal root is rational or irrational. Next. Between which two consecutive integers does the square root of 6 lie? So, ibig sabihin, di ba, hindi exact, wala tayong square root of 6. So, ngayon, ang una mong gagawin is mag-list down ng mga square root. So, magsimula ka sa 1, square root of 1, square root of 4, square root of 9, square root of 16, square root of 25, square root of 36. Kasi sila yung mga perfect square na kapag kinuha natin yung sagot, the answer is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, square root of 16 is 4, square root of 25 is 5, square root of 36 is 6. So ngayon, dito sa mga given square roots natin, saan kaya natin mahahanap yung square root of 6? So, square root of 6, di ba yan ay matatagpuan natin between square root of 4 and square root of 9. So, nasa gitna siya ng 4 and 9, tama? Kasi 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, nandito siya, square root of 6. Thus, the square root of 6 lies between square root of 4 and square root of 9. So, ito ay 9 ha. Okay? Hindi yan 91. Square root of 9. Sorry. Square root of 6 lies between square root of 4 and square root of 9. So, mathematically speaking, ganito natin siya isusulat. So, the square root of 6 dun siya sa gitna kasi siya ay lies between. Okay? Square root of 4, dito sa, yung maliit dito sa kabila, and then yung malaki dito sa kabila. Ito. Yung mas malaki, square root of 9. So, if I'm going to read this, square root of 6 is greater than square root of 4, but less than square root of 9. Ayan. So, ano ba ang square root ng 4? Diba 2? Square root of 9 is 3. So, ibig sabihin, between 2 at saka 3, yun, saan nakuha yung 2 at 3? Ayun po. So, between 2 and 3, nandoon yung ating square root of 6, yung value mismo ng square root of 6. So, ang ating final answer, therefore, square root of 6 is a decimal number greater than 2, but less than 3. No? So, nasa gitna siya ng 2 and 3, yung ating square root of 6. Maliwanag? So, what's the final answer? Ano yung 2 consecutive integers na matatagpuan ng square root of 6? The answer is 2 and 3. Next. Between which 2 consecutive integers does the square root of 75 lie? Again, hindi po tayo, hindi perfect square yung ating given. So, mag-list down ka muna ng mga square root. So, tingin natin dito sa up to square root of 36, matatagpuan na ba natin si square root of 75? Hindi pa. Kaya, continue tayo. Ibahin natin yung given. Gawin natin square root of 49 is equal to 7. Square root of 64 is equal to 8. Square root of 81 is equal to 9. Square root of 100 is 10, and so on and so forth. So, from those given, where could I find square root of 75? So, that is between 64 and 81. Okay? Kasi siya lagpas ng 64, pero hindi siya lalagpas ng 81. And the square root of 64, tandaan na 8. Then, the square root of 81 is 9. Therefore, ayan, susulat natin, the square root of 75 is between square root of 64 and square root of 81. And the square root of 64 is positive 8. Then, the square root of 81 is positive 9 and negative. So, square root of 75 is between the numbers 8 and 9. So, square root of 75 is greater than 8 but less than 9. So, ano yung 2 consecutive integers na matatagpuan ang square root of 75? So, the answer is 8 and 9. So, ganun lamang kapag maghahanap tayo ng 2 consecutive integers kung saan matatagpuan yung given square root. Okay, next. When a number is irrational, estimating square root is a valuable tool. So, since di ba nga kapag irrational yung given nating radicand, wala siyang exact square root. So, ang kailangan lang ang magagawa lang natin is to estimate square root or to estimate what is the value of that given number, the square root of that given number. So we can approximate square root of a number by looking for two consecutive integers between which the square root lies. So yun yung tinuro ko kanina. Kung ano yung dalawang two consecutive integers, ibig sabihin, doon lang natin matatagpuan yung square root ng ating given. Irrational numbers never terminate nor repeat. So laging tatandaan, ang lahat ng irrational numbers ay hindi natatapos, dire-diretso yan, and so on and so forth, with the till infinity, and then hindi rin paulit-ulit yung number. Okay? The decimal form of an irrational number is always an estimate only of its value. So, example, estimate the square root of 10 to the nearest 100. Di ba kapag 100, two numbers after the decimal point, yun yung hundreds natin. Kasi kapag isa lang, tens. Okay. So, ang unang gagawin is, tingin dito sa ating chart, nadyan ba ang ating square root of 10? So, wala. So, saan natin matatagpuan ang square root of 10 between those given square root? So, we can found the square root of 10 between square root of 9 and square root of 16. So, the square root of 10 is between 3 and 4. Bakit po sa 3 and 4? Kasi square root of 9 is 3. Then, square root of 16 is 4. Bakit doon? Kasi yung square root of 10, doon natin matatagpuan. Square root of 9, sunod yung square root of 10. Tama? Then, square root of 11 up to square root of 16. So, square root of 10 is between the 3 and 4. Next, since alam na natin kung saan matatagpuan, kunin muna natin yung mga tenths. Kasi decimals ang kailangan natin eh. So, ano ba yung mga tenths between 3 and 4? So, di ba, assume natin 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, up to 3.9. Okay, so assume natin ang gagamitin ko halimbawa ay yan, 3.1 at saka 3.2 muna. So, 3.1 and 3.2. So, kapag in-square natin yan, ang magiging sagot ng 3.1 is 9.61. Ito. Then, kapag in-square natin ng 3.2 square, the answer is 10.24. Paano kung square? So, 3.2 times 3.2, multiply it by itself. So, 9.61 tapos 10.24. Parang malapit na yun sa 10. Tama? So, saan mas malapit yung ating 10? Okay, so square root of 10 is between 3.1 and 3.2. Kasi nga, 9.61. Tama? 9. Tapos, na dito 10.24. So, nasa gitna na ng square root of 10. So, it's between 3.1 and 3.2. Kaso, hindi tenths yung ating hinihingi. Ang hinihingi ay to the nearest 100. So, we have to continue the estimation to the 100th place. So, paano po yun? So, isulat mo natin. Square root of 10 is between 3.1 and 3.2. Then, between 3.1 and 3.2, meron tayong mga hundreds diyan na 3.11, 3.12, 3.13, 3.14, 3.15, 3.16, 3.17, 3.18, and 3.19. So, yan yung mga nasa gitna ng 3.1 and 3.2. So, let's say, for example, ang gagamitin ko diyan, kukunin ko ang square ay mula sa 3.15. Pagpalagay natin assume. So, ito kasi ay trial and error. Kung hindi mo makita dun sa una, try mo. Okay? I-square mo yung iba. So, 3.15 square is equal to 9.99225. 3.16 square is equal to 9.9856. Then, 3.17 square is 10.0489. Ngayon ang tanong, meron na tayo dito mga values sa gilid. Ito. Itong tatlo. Saan diyan pinakamalapit ang 10? So, pinakamalapit ang 10 dito sa 9.9856. So, 10 is closer to 9.9856. Therefore, the square root of 10, ano ba yung square root ng 9.9856? Kasi ang square root, reverse lang yan ng squaring a number eh. So, ang kanyang square root of 10 is 3.16. Ito. Kasi doon pinakamalapit ang ating square root of 10. So, that's how you estimate square root. So, another example tayo. Estimate the square root of 45 to the nearest 100. So, una, hanapin muna square root of 45. Saan natin matatagpuan? So, that is between square root of 36 and square root of 49. And the square root of 36 is 6. The square root of 49 is 7. So, square root of 45 is between 6 and 7. Ito, square root of 6, square root of 36 is 6, square root of 49 is 7. So, that's between 6 and 7. So, what are the tenths? Tenths muna bago tayo pumunta hundreds. So, what are the decimal numbers in the tenths to the nearest tenths between 6 and 7? So, I have here 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, up to 6.9. So, sila yung mga tenths. Di ba kapag isa lang yung number after the decimal point, yan in the nearest tenths. So, alin kaya diyan ang gagamitin ko or alin diyan ang i-square ko para madali ko mahanap si 45. So, ang ginamit ko dito is 6.7 and 6.8 muna. So, 6.7 squared is 44.89. Then, 6.8 squared is 46.24. So, square root of 45 or the 45 is closer to 6 saan mas malapit? So, yan. Tama. Square root of 10 is between 6.7 and 6.8. So, nasa gitna. Okay? Ng 6.7 and 6.8. But then, ang hinihingi is estimation to the 100th place. So, we have to continue the estimation. So, 6.7 and 6.8, kunin natin yung mga 100th place natin dyan. Mga decimal point. 6.71, 6.72, 6.73, and so on and so forth up to 6.79. So, ang ginamit ko dyan is 6.71, 6.72, and 6.73. So, square natin. So, nung in-square ko sila, 6.71 squared is 45.0241. 6.72 squared is 45.1584. Then, 6.73 squared is 45.2929. So, saan diyan pinakamalapit ang 45? So, since ito ang pinakamalapit, itong 45.0241, therefore, okay, the square root of 45 is 6.71. Ito, 6.71. Yan ang estimation ha. Estimation yan. Estimated value of the square root of 45. So, that is without using a calculator. Next. Okay, since alam nyo na kung paano mag-estimate ng value ng square root na ang ating radicand is not a perfect square, we can plot them in a number line. So, using its estimated value. So, dapat mamaster nyo yung pag-estimate natin ng square root before you proceed with plotting on the number line. Kasi, yun ang ating gagamitin on how we are able to plot it on a number line. So, plot the following irrational numbers on the number line. So, una, square root of 3. So, square root of 3 is closer to 2. So, positive 2. Okay, kasi diba, yan. And, ito yung ating number line. Okay, so 3 is closer to 2. So, ito yung ating number line. So, ngayon saan natin ipa-plot si square root of 3? So, diba, by approximation, gagamitin natin yung ginawa nating steps kanina or solution. The given irrational numbers will be plotted on the given number line. So, square root of 3 is equal to 1.73. Yan ay estimated in the nearest 100. So, closer to 2 daw than 1.73. So, that is somewhere here. Ayan. Nalagyan nyo lang ng parang dot. Okay? Then, sa tapat, isusulat kung ano yung given. Square root of 3. Next. Plot the following irrational numbers on the number line. Square root of 23. So, square root of 23 is closer to 5. Okay? And then, by approximation, ang ating square root of 23 is equal to 4.80. So, malapit sa 5, then 4.80. Paano nakuha yung 4.80? Yung kanina, yung step natin kanina. Okay, 4.80. Ayan, somewhere here. So, square root of 23 sa taas, sa tapat. Tapos may dot. Kahit anong kulay, pwedeng ballpen lang naman ang gamit. Then, number 9. Square root of 48. So, square root of 48 is closer to 7. Malapit na sa 7, then that's the number line. So, by approximation, square root of 48 is equal to 6.93. So, 6.93 is somewhere here. And sulat lang square root of 48. Again. Another example, square root of 15. So, square root of 15 siya ay closer to 4. Okay? Then, yan ang number 9. So, by approximation, square root of 15 is equal to 3.87. So, dito ang ating 3.87. Yan. Malapit sa 4, then sa tapat, ng tuldok, ilalagay square root of 15. Kaya dapat, sabi ko sa inyo, before we proceed with plotting on the number line, dapat ay unawaan natin at ma-understand natin ang mas maliwanag on how we estimate the square root or the value of kapag ang given ay irrational numbers. Yung nasa loob ng radical symbol is irrational numbers. If yung ating given is irrational number. Kapag hindi perfect square, yung nasa loob ng ating radical symbol. So, kapag ganito naman, plot the following points on a number line. So, halimbawa, point A. So, ganun din lang ang gagawin nyo. Hanapin nyo kung saan malapit si point, yung square root of 7. And then, using estimation to the nearest hundredths, makikita nyo yung value ng square root of 7. So, kapag may nakalagay din na point A, yun ang pangalan ng given point. Kaya ang ilalagay nyo dito sa tapat ng point na ito is point A, imbis na square root of 7. Kasi may nakalagay na naka-indicate point A. Then, point B, square root of 38. Kaya ang katapat ng point nitong tuldok na ito is B. Okay, hindi na yung square root of 38. Ganun lamang. Kung saan, dito nyo itatapat yung pangalan ng point. So, thank you. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below para baka masasagot ko. And then, if meron naman, may contact naman kayo sa akin sa Messenger. So, PM nyo ako sa ating group chat. Pwede kayo magtanong, text, tawag, through my number. Kung merong hindi naunawaan. Okay? If nakapanood ng video ito, please leave a comment down below para alam ko kung sino nakakapag-access ng video at sino ang hindi. Okay, God bless. Thank you and stay safe.